Hi, welcome to the third video in our series. So for this video, we're going to be talking about citizen rights and responsibilities. So as a citizen, you have two rights, in addition to the Bill of Rights that we went over in our last video. These rights, though, are a little bit different. It's just kind of adding on to what we've already learned. You have the right to run for federal office. This means you can run to be elected into the House of Representatives. You can run for senator. You can run for any of your state or local government official offices. Like you can run for mayor in your city. You can run to be your state governor. You can run for any of those. You also have the right to vote in a federal election. That means you can vote for president, you can vote for your House of Representatives, you can vote for your senator, you can vote for any of your local offices. You have all of those rights. Some of your responsibilities, though, as a U.S. citizen, are to serve on a jury. Every so often, you'll get in the mail jury summons. You can't ignore those, and if you're working, your boss has to give you time off to serve on a jury. That is something that they all have to do. So don't worry about having to miss work for that, especially sometimes they will reimburse you. That means they'll pay you to serve on a jury. They'll reimburse you for your time off. So, because sometimes court cases will take quite a long time, and so they'll pay for your gas to get there. They might pay you a little bit for your time served on the jury because they understand that people have to miss work for that a lot of the time. So, and then your other responsibility is also to vote. So when they ask you on your citizenship exam what one of your rights are as a U.S. citizen, you can say to vote in an election or to run for office. You can also say, you can basically, I would use vote in an election for both of these because it's the same, so it's easy to remember. So when you hear what are one of the rights that you have as a citizen, you can say to vote in a federal election, because then they might say, what is one of your responsibilities as a U.S. citizen? And you can also say to vote in a federal election. So I personally were these, but I'm listing them both for you. That way you have the option to choose. So there are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote in these elections. So the 15th Amendment says that you shall not be denied voting because of the color of your skin. It's your that's what they classify as race. So not being denied on account of race. The 19th Amendment says that you shall not be denied voting based on your gender. So it doesn't matter if you are male, female, otherwise, whatever you choose to ascribe to, you can still vote. The 24th Amendment says that you shall not be denied because of poll taxes. And this is important because way back in history, the people used to have to pay in order to vote. And that's not the case anymore. And so they put it in the Constitution that they cannot charge you to vote because that might influence who you vote for. The 26th, here we go, sorry. The 26th Amendment says you shall not be denied on account of age. As long as you're over 18 years old, you can vote in the United States clear up until the day you die. It doesn't mean you can be 19 and still vote, or you can be 85 and vote. So these you'll have to list one on the citizenship exam. So, and you don't have to say what the amendments are. You can say the 15th Amendment or the 24th Amendment. You don't have to say what they are. I'm just letting you know what they are. So I put this part in because it didn't really fit into any of the other videos that I was going to be shooting, but it is part of the citizenship exam, and you might have heard it yourself without understanding that's what it was, and your children might be saying this in school. It's the Pledge of Allegiance, and I grew up with it, saying it in school. This is what we use to show our loyalty to our flag itself. And I know that this is a kind of a strange concept because I know that some other countries, they don't do this, but here in America, this is something we do. I will recite this for you to give you an idea of what it sounds like. Also, you know, your kids might have come up to you and said, this is what we did. So generally, when we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance, we find the nearest flag of the United States, and we face it, and we put our right hand over our heart, and we stand or take your hat off to show respect, and we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. So, and then that's it. Generally, we sit down afterwards, and it just is kind of a showing of loyalty and citizenship to our country. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there for you. So moving on back to our rights and responsibilities that we have. This is not an official responsibility, the Pledge of Allegiance is. It's just something that we do. It's something that we use to show our loyalty to the United States. So when you become a U.S. citizen, there's going to be there's going to be two promises that you make. The first promise that you're going to make when becoming a citizen is you promise to obey the laws of the United States. That means the Constitution. Remember, we learned about that in our first video. That's the supreme law. You obey the Bill of Rights, those amendments that give us all of our rights and responsibilities and what we can do. You also agree to obey the laws of your state and local government as well. So I'm a citizen of the United States. I promise to obey the laws of Washington State. I promise to obey the laws of Spokane County, which is my city. So when they say obey the laws of the United States, it's not just those federal laws, it's all of the laws of the United States. The second promise that you're going to make is you're going to pledge loyalty to the United States. That means that because we're giving you citizenship to our country, that means that you are a resident, you're a citizen. All of these rights and responsibilities apply to you just as they would to me who was born here. That means that you're going to be loyal to our country as well. That's going to come priority over your home country. And that's probably going to be pretty scary for you, a pretty scary idea. That doesn't mean that you have to forget your home country by any means. We actively encourage people to have dual citizenships and to go visit their home countries. But it just really shows that, like, hey, you know, we're giving you citizenship for our country, you know, don't break our laws, Don't try to spy on our government or anything like that for your home country or anything like that. It's just, you know, be a good citizen is basically what that is. Part of pledging loyalty, though, too, and I do want to, this is a little side note, is that you can fly your home country's flag outside of your house if you would like, but if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you have an American flag there as well. I don't remember what little law that is, but it's a law here in the United States that if you're going to have a different country's flag, you need to have, like, flying outside of your house, you need to have an American flag there as well. So part of being a U.S. citizen is unfortunately paying taxes. Taxes partially will go to your state government to help repair things like schools and roads and whatever else your state decides to do, but part of your taxes also will go to the federal government. And that will go to like our Department of Defense. So it helps to go for paying for our military, paying for like the Department of Energy, helps to come up with new energy sources for the United States as well. And that's partially part of the things what your taxes are used for. There are many more things that I'm not sure of myself. I didn't look up. But you may have filled out a W-4 when you started employment. If you are working for a legitimate business here in the United States, you will fill out federal tax information forms. Oh, shoot, sorry, it's the W. Okay, sorry. So part of being a loyal citizen of the United States is unfortunately paying taxes. Now, if you're working in the United States for a legitimate business, when you start, before you start, you will fill out what's known as a W-2. That's a federal tax form that you fill out saying how many people you have in your household, how many children you have, do you own any businesses that you're getting money from, that kind of stuff. And the W-2 is what gets sent by your employer and filled out with your employer to deduct taxes from your paychecks. At the end of the year, when you've worked, because it's you fill one out for when you start, but every year after that, you get a W-4, and you'll get a W-4 by the end of January 31st. Every year you get one, and your employers have to give them to you by January 31st. So they might not hand them to you. Every place that I've worked, they just bring them in and we all just come in to work and grab them. Some employers may mail them to you. And if your employer mails your W-4 to you, you need to look at the date. On the envelope will be a date where the stamp is, and it will say when it was mailed out. And if it is past January 31st, that's illegal. Your employer has to have it mailed to you or given to you by January 31st. This is because you have to fill out, take that form and either go to a tax representative service. I myself use TurboTax because it's free and I can do it online. But there are people out there that may charge very small amounts of money to do your taxes for you. But your taxes have to be submitted to the IRS, which is the, here, I'll write it down for you. IRS equals internal revenue. Okay. So the IRS is the Internal Revenue Service, and this is where you send those taxes to. They have to be submitted by April 15th of every year, or else they're going to fine you. That means they're going to charge you money for every month that you don't submit them past April 15th. So make sure that you send your W-4, you fill it out, you do your taxes, and you get them submitted by April 15th of every year. Okay, so for this last little portion of the video, we're going to talk about the Selective Service. Now, the Selective Service is for all males, whether they're U.S. citizens or not. If they're living in the United States and they're between 18 and 25 years old, they have to register. Registration is law, like they have to register. This does not mean that you're enrolling in the military, but what the Selective Service is that in times of war, the United States has had to issue a draft. And a draft is basically every male that registers gets a number, and then it's randomly, those numbers are pulled, and then those men are registered in the military and are part of the military and generally go to war. We haven't had a draft since Vietnam, which was in the 1960s. So it's, and we haven't used one since then. It's basically just saying, though, that in times of crisis, when we really need people in our military, the government can say, hey, all of the males, we need you to come fight for your country. That's what the Selective Service is. Make sure you register. If you don't register, and a draft is issued, you can be fined and face jail time. More immediately, if you don't register, then it will affect your chances of working for government offices. For example, if you wanted to work for the post office, but you never registered for Selective Service, because the post office is government, it's a government position, you can't work for them. So make sure you register.